Greetings of the day all. This is Sheetal Thakre, Microsoft Certified Trainer, and the topic under discussion is SC-900, which is the course by Microsoft related to the security, compliance, and identities. So let us explore how many modules are there, what are the contents of each module, and we will explore the concepts using the different portals as well. Now I am in a portal intra.microsoft.com, which is called as Microsoft Intra Admin Center. From the left pane, you find Entra ID is one of the menu. I am logged into this Intra portal with my credential, which is present as a user in this Entra ID. We go to the overview page and we find that the license for this Entra ID is P2. So what different licenses are available here for the Entra ID? If you scroll down and go to the billing, when you go to the billing licenses, all products, you get the listing of the licenses in 365 E5, Teams Enterprise, Power Apps, usage. You find related to Entra ID, Premier P1, P2 license is there. Licensed feature will give you which feature requires the license available with you. So this is giving you whether this feature is available to you or not. Directory objects, 5 lakh with Entra ID free license. No limit for other licenses. If you go to Microsoft Entra ID pricing page, here you find Microsoft Entra ID P1, its costing, Entra ID P2, Entra Suite with costing, and what features they include. So you find partially included symbol, completely included symbol. So Entra features, you find identity protection is a P2 feature, partially included in P1. It is also present in Entra Suite, whereas Microsoft Entra Private Access is a feature which is a part of Microsoft Entra Suite only. So if you go to the page Microsoft Entra Licensing and scroll down, you find you have Microsoft Entra ID with the free version without any license, Microsoft Entra ID P1, Entra ID P2. Add-ons Microsoft Entra ID Governance is there. Microsoft Entra Suite is also there. So these are the different types of licenses you can proceed with. If you go to the Entra ID overview page, it gives you which license you are proceeding with. Along with that, it tells you how many users are there, groups are there, applications are registered with the Microsoft Entra ID, and how many devices are onboarded. If you click on users, these are the human identities included. Whether they are synced from the on-premise, yes, no, here you will find, and you can filter out on-premises identities. If you go to groups, this gives you the listing of all groups. If you try to create, you will find two different types of groups you can create, security and M365 groups. Devices, go to all devices, and it is giving you listing of the devices. What is the joint type? Intra register, intra joint. Who is the owner of device and when they are registered. How you will create a user. So the user logged in has these credentials for the authentication. Related to authorization, to create a new user should have the role. So you will find in the Entra ID, roles and admin, there is a role user administrator. So user administrator can manage all aspects of users and groups, including resetting the password for the limited admin. User admin role, global admin role will be able to create user identity. So you go to Entra, user, new user, create new user. Fill the details related to the username. Let us say we create SC-900 user on this domain. You find nickname is derived from the user principal name, but you can change this as well. So we will make it SC-900. Display name is also mandatory. Let us say this is SC-900 with colon. Password you can give either with the auto-generated manner, or you can be using your own password here. Whether you want to enable this account or you want to keep it in the disabled state. Now suppose employee is been onboarded and employee is supposed to join 5 days after. So you can enable this account after 5 days. Right now you just create the identity. When the actual employee onboarding and employee reporting process is done, then you can enable this account. Right now for demonstration, I'll keep it enabled. Then you find the properties related to user identity. They are not mandatory. They can be filled later on as well. User type is member. If you want to assign the license information, the services depend on the location. So you should be giving the location of the user here. Randomly, I'm selecting any one of them. You can assign user as a part of administrative unit. You can add this user identity into some group as well assign the role. So we can give the role of a reader, directory level or global. Directory reader can read the basic directory information, commonly used to grant directory read access to application and guests. So we make the user directory reader. Review all the attributes of the user you have filled and then create the user. Refresh your portal and check whether SC-900 user identity is created. So we find SC-900 user identity is created on this domain. When you click on this, we find whether the account is enabled, interactive sign-ins, non-interactive sign-ins, whether user is business to business. From the left pane, you can assign the role to user, group licenses as well. Subscription role, Azure role can be done. You can give the authentication methods for this user as well. The overview page will give us all the attribute information we have filled while creating this user. Each section can be edited, updated. Now this is the single user we have created. We have created a user SC-900 using the entra.microsoft.com. If you go to the admin.microsoft.com, M365 Admin Center, you find under users, active users. Here also add user option is there. So using the M365 Admin Center also, you can create a user. Let us create SC901 user with the same display name and SC901 as the UPM user principal name. Automatically create the password or give your own password. Require this user to change their password when they first sign in. So this is the option you are getting in M365 Admin Center. We do not want them to change their password when they first sign in. So this is unticked. We proceed. Location is mandatory here. You find whether you want to assign any license to user. The available is Power Apps. So from M365 Admin Portal, while creating, you can assign the license as well. You can have a control on what apps will be accessible to user. I may say that the common data services and the flow for developer should be there. Power Apps for developer we remove. Then the role also you should be able to explore. No admin center role, or if you want to assign any admin center role for this user, category wise also, collaboration for devices, global admin, identity management, and other related to different resources, read-only as well as security compliance. To review the attributes and then check whether any alert you are getting to give this user admin center access, assign the least privilege role. So you can go back and either you remove this admin center access or you can give any of the admin role to user. Now there is no alert and you can finish adding this user. Refresh the portal and check whether user is added. SC901 with the license we find is added and SC900 we had added using Entra ID portal. You can use the portal.azure.com for creation of user. Search with the Entra keyword. Go to the Entra ID. Under manage, you find users option is there and you will be able to create a new user with the similar attributes which you created using Entra portal as well as M365 admin. Let us say this is SC-902. Auto-generated password. I remove. I give my own password. And then account is enabled. Properties, these are not mandatory, so you can skip. Assignment for the group rule, review and create. Once you get the notification, refresh and check whether SC-902 user is added. We find SC-902 user is there. Now, after creating the identity using M365 Admin Center, that is admin.microsoft.com, using Entra Admin Center, entra.microsoft.com, as well as portal.azure.com. Next, we will check whether in the Entra ID, we can create bulk users. So we go to bulk create. We download the template. Open this template. Now here you check what are the required fields. Only those we will keep. So we find display name is required, user principal name is required, initial password is required, whether the account enabled or not is required. Rest, we remove these fields. This is the example given to us. We remove this example and we replace the domain by our domain. Go to the Entra overview. Here you copy the domain, modify here, and we are creating the user SC-903. So we say SC-903 @ with this password, and account is blocked, no. So I select this and copy it for SC-904 user, and one more time for SC-905 user. And we save this using the template 6.csv. And let us go to the Entra users, bulk operations, bulk create. Now we are trying to upload this edited CSV file for creating 3 users together. So we select this user template 6. File is uploaded successfully. Let us try to submit and check the process of our bulk user creation operation. So we are waiting for notification here. It is verifying the file and bulk operation has succeeded. So you can now refresh the portal and check whether we go to all users and we try to check SC-903, 904, 905. These users are being added. So bulk operation, check whether this feature is also available with the admin.microsoft.com. Go to the users, active users, add multiple user, and I would like to upload CSV with the user info. This option is there. And if you go to the portal.azure.com, all users, you will find bulk operation is also there. So bulk user creation, identity creation is available with all the 3 portals, portal.azure.com, entra.microsoft.com, as well admin.microsoft.com. SC-900 is the fundamental level course related to security and compliance, which also explores the concepts of identities. If you explore the training certificate given by the Microsoft, we find the security domain and fundamental level, role-based, specialty, and business-related certificates listed under each and every domain. SC-900 is the security domain fundamental level course. This will act as the base for associate level or role-based certificates. SC-100 has the prerequisite to complete any one of these certificates. So SC-900 is the fundamental level from the security domain. If you go to SC-900 course page by typing SC-900 in your browser, search with any of the search engine, Security Compliance Identity Fundamentals, Microsoft Learn page. This gives you all the details about the fundamental level certificate by the Microsoft SC-900, Security Compliance and Identity Fundamentals. Here you find this is the beginner level certificate, can be explored by the security engineers. You get all the details related to prepare exam, practice for exam, take exam, certificate resources in this page. These are the 4 modules included in SC-900. We are going to explore the very first security, compliance, and identity concepts. In this page, you also get to practice the assessment test. Try out the experience of giving the online certificate examination using the sandboxing environment. Online examination for earning this certificate will be for 45 minutes tentatively, which you can schedule as per your requirement. And there are study guides also, which will give you the list of updated topics for the examination. Let us explore the first module, security, compliance, and identity concepts. Here you have described security and compliance concepts as the unit 1 and describe identity concepts. The various security and compliance concepts explored are shared responsibility model, defense in depth model, zero trust model, concept of encryption hashing, and then GRC, governance, risk and compliance concepts. Whereas in case of identity concepts, what is authentication, authorization, identity as the primary security perimeter, role of identity provider, concept of directory services, Active Directory, and the concept of federation. Let us explore and start with the shared responsibility model. The shared responsibility model makes it clear which responsibilities will be carried out by the cloud service provider and for which responsibilities client has to take care. The responsibilities depend on the service model which is adopted by the customer, whether the customer is going for software as a service or platform as a service or infra as a service, and customer responsibilities, they are represented in a blue boxes, whereas Microsoft's responsibilities, they are represented using gray boxes. So when the customer is going for cloud service model, irrespective of whether it's a infra as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service, we find physical hosts, physical network, and physical data center. These responsibilities will always be taken care by the cloud service provider, Microsoft in this case. Whereas in case of platform as a service, we find few of the responsibilities are shared: network controls, applications, identity, and directory infra. Irrespective of whether the customer is in the on-premise environment or cloud environment, public cloud environment, always the responsibilities of information, data, devices, accounts, and identities will be with the customer. When you adopt software as a service, we find that the shared responsibility between the cloud service provider and customer is related to identity and directory infrastructure. Most of the responsibilities are taken care by the cloud service provider in case of software as a service, and customer is responsible for information, data, devices, accounts, and identity. So clarity related to the responsibilities is provided by the shared responsibility model. The second model is defense in depth. The visual representation that more layers of defense you adopt, you can delay the exfiltration of data and you get more time to protect your data, because each and every layer here is defending against the exfiltration of data or attack scenario. The very first layer is physical security. Then comes the identity and access layer, perimeter security, network security, compute security, application security, and then data security. So what are the different concepts we are going to use with each and every layer? Physical security is taken care by the CCTV, guards, access cards. Related to the identity and access, Entra ID, Microsoft Entra ID, which is the identity and access management solution for the cloud identities, and the various concepts like the privileged identity management, conditional access policies, multi-factor authentication. These will be used related to identity and access. Few more are also there. When you go with the perimeter security, you use the distributed denial of service, different plans, network plans are there related to IP. Also, you get a plan. You go with the Azure firewall for the traffic filtering. Azure firewall under the premium, intelligent firewall, which provides you IDS IPS solution as well as the web category filtering. It supports fully qualified domain names as well. Then related to the network security, we have the different concepts like NSG, network security group, which are also free of cost. Traffic filtering solution, more granular control will be there. This will be associated at the interface level and the subnet level. You have to take care of rules at both the levels if you are going for NSG at both the levels. Then there are application security groups, which are logical grouping of the hosts depending on the application they are hosting. So both of them can be used together. They provide more granular traffic filtering solutions. Then for the network layer, you also got segmentation as one of the security concept. When you go with the compute layer, host security features are there, container security features are there. You will be scanning the images from the container. You will take care about different anti-malware extension, antivirus extensions for your hosts. Disks are there, they should be encrypted. You can also go for the service endpoints, private endpoints. You can also use the concept of bash. Above the application layer, you can have the web application firewall applied. And then when it comes to the data, you have Microsoft Defender for cloud plans for the SQL servers, Defender plan for the storage accounts. And you also use the encryption. You also use the information protection concepts. You classify your data. You apply the sensitivity labels to your data. So the defense in depth model will delay the exfiltration of data and you will get more time to protect your data, as each and every layer here is providing you the alerts in case of anomalous situation. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These are the ultimate goals when you are going to secure your environment, whether it's a cloud, whether it's a on-prem environment. So you want to keep your clients, consumers, employees' data confidential. When you are using the security measures as encryption and when the messages or data are decrypted, there should not be any data loss. The message should be received in the original format. It should keep its integrity, availability. When the data is encrypted for security reason, for protection, but it should also be accessible by the person who is going to process it, who is eligible, who is authorized and permitted to access it. Then we explore the zero trust model. As the name suggests, zero trust model is based on three principles, which assumes that each and every request which is coming to your tenant, your organization, is going to breach the security of your organization. So you should be verifying that request explicitly. And even if it is verified, you should provide the least privileges to the request or requesting user. So use the concept of authentication, use the concept of authorization, access controls, RBACs. Now these three principles, they are implemented by providing security measures to six pillars: identity, devices, application, data, infrastructure, network. So you apply different security policies, which are nothing but the rules, configuration settings for securing each and every pillar. Implementation of this gives you implementation of these three principles, and that is nothing but your zero trust model, zero trust framework. Encryption is used so that the data will be accessible only by the authorized person who is holding the key. Different types of keys are symmetric key, asymmetric key. Here, as the name suggests, symmetric key, only one key is there, which will be used for encryption as well as decryption. Whereas in case of asymmetric encryption, you get one public key and you get one private key. So you use public key for the encryption, whereas you use private key for the decryption. So the one holding the private key, the authorized one, will only be able to access the encrypted message. Whether the data at rest, in motion, and in use can also be encrypted. So data at rest, in motion, or transit can also be encrypted along with data in use. So data at rest will be the cases wherein the data is stored in the databases, different disks, files, archive storage, storage accounts, USB, and other types of storage. You will find Microsoft is using AES 256 Advanced Encryption Standard, and this is the key length for encrypting data at rest. For databases, there is transparent data encryption. So different types of encryption methods can be used. Customer managed key scenario is also supported. By default, Microsoft will be managing the encryption keys. What about the data in motion encryption? So when the data or message is in motion between the computers or services, virtual machines, applications, so in that case, you use the TLS 1.2, 1.3. You can use the secure socket layer SSL for encrypting the data in motion. Whereas in case of data in use, regarding the encryption, the device which is using the data will be used inside the memory, primary memory of a device. So that should have a secure encrypted virtualization feature. So it requires specialized hardware and it encrypts the RAM memory using AES-128 encryption engine. So where it is used, whether that device has secure encrypted virtualization, it depends on that. So data in transit, data at rest, and data in use can also be encrypted. Previously, we have seen encryption, which is two-way, as in there is a plain text, it is encrypted, you get the ciphertext, and when you decrypt this, you get the original text, plain text. Whereas in case of hashing, we generally say that it is a one-way process. Original text will be hashed using the hashing algorithm. And in case of hashing, you are generally not interested in retrieving the original text. Rather, the matching can be done with the hashed value. So this is deterministic, as in every time hash value will be received when you are hashing the text with a particular hashing algorithm. So every time you are hashing a text using any of the hashing algorithm, same hash value you will receive with the fixed length. A unique identifier of its associated data. So that hash value is called as unique identifier of its associated data. It is different than the encryption because hashed value isn't subsequently decrypted back to original text, and it is generally used for storing the passwords. There is a concept of salting, which says that few random bits will be added to the original text while performing the hashing process, so that it will mitigate it from the brute force dictionary attack. Because we have said that the same hash value will be received. So consider that my original text is AB. I am using MD5 and I am getting some hash value every time, say. Now someone may map this using the dictionary technique. So every time you are hashing this original text using MD5, you will be getting the same hash value. So to avoid this dictionary mapping, so to mitigate this dictionary mapping, you add few bits to it so that every time you'll get a different hash. There is a concept of governance, compliance, and risk, GRC. Governance in general is how you are controlling your organization's environment. So for controlling, you generally apply the rules and policies, and you maintain the standard practices throughout your organization, and you make it compulsory for all the internal user to follow the standard processes. So here also, you will be able to govern your identities. You will be able to govern your data. Risk management will be done related to the identities, devices, data, and you use various security concepts related to that. Now, the compliance policies will check whether all the security rules and compliance rules are applied to your environment, how many are followed, and those which are not followed, you will be getting the recommendations related to them. Now, these concepts of governance, risk, and compliance, they apply to both your environment, infra, as well as user end. So you can say workload as well as your user end environment. In case of Microsoft, we will say that M365 environment, or you can say that infra part, infra as a service, platform as a service, and it will be there for software as a service as well. There are different portals wherein you will be using these concepts. So for identity governance, you use the intra.microsoft.com portal. For data governance, you use Purview portal. For M365 governance as well as infra governance, you will be using this Purview portal. Related to data governance from the infra part as well as M365 environment, you will be using Purview portal. There is Microsoft Defender for Cloud, which will be taking care of compliance. This is a part of portal.azure.com. You get the compliance applied to your M365 environment, and for this, you will be using Purview portal. So where we get these options, if we go to the portals, we find. So when we go to the portal purview.microsoft.com, we find under this solution, there is Compliance Manager. And from here, you will find regulations are there. So these regulations you will be applying to your M365 environment or user and security. So you find here in general ISO, SOC 1, SOC 2, PCI DSS, NIST, the regional regulatory compliance policies are there. You create the assessment so that your environment will be evaluated against these rules. So along with data catalog, there are features as data map, lineage, sensitivity labels, which will help you to govern your data, which is stored in the infra part. Now, if you go to the security.microsoft.com, so you will find using MDE, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, you can protect your user devices. So risk management will be done by this MDE. Email and collaboration, Microsoft Defender for Office 365. So security related to your Exchange Online collaboration using the OneDrive and other collaborative apps and services you will use will be taken care by Microsoft Defender for Office 365. We have identity, Microsoft Defender for Identity, which will do the risk management and governance for the on-prem identities. Then there is MDCA, Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, which is also called as CASB solution, Cloud Access Security Broker, or MCAS solution. So this will sit between the user and all the SaaS applications this user is accessing, and it will give you all the logs about what user is doing with the different SaaS applications. So these defenders, they are taking care about your devices, the SaaS applications you are accessing, on-premise identities, and your collaborative services, as well as email. Then you have this Microsoft Entra ID, which is identity and access management tool for the cloud identities. This also provides you, along with the security governance solution, it will provide you. So different concepts related to identity governance, they are entitlement management, which will take care about how the access to the different groups, roles, resources will be managed. Access review. If the users are holding the privileges access or the guests are holding the access for too long, you review and you decide whether access should be removed or continued. PIM feature is there, privileged identity management, wherein you can give the approval based access or just in time access. You can make it mandatory to go through multi-factor authentication. So these are the different governance features. You can control the life cycle of the identities using the different life cycle workflow. Then there is this admin portal, admin.microsoft.com, which is called as Microsoft 365 Admin Center. So here, this billing will give you the details about what licenses are there in your environment, and you can assign licenses to user using admin.microsoft.com. So here you find listing of licenses, how many are there, and you can select the user, assign unassigned licenses for them. You can create the teams and groups as well here. If you go to portal.azure.com, here you will find there is this Microsoft Defender for Cloud, which will manage the compliance for your infra part. So whether it is going to cover only Azure Cloud, you will find that the support is there for the Azure environment as well as multi-cloud, AWS GCP. Repositories will also be covered, and it is going to secure your on-premise environment as well. Here also you will find various regulatory compliance policies are there. If you go to management environment and select the subscription, you will find the Defender plans are there to protect your workload. Continuous assessment solution is there for your environment, and security compliance policies can also be applied to your environment. These policies also provide you recommendations for the configuration settings which are not present related to the infra part. Different resources. You can send the email notification if the alert is there with the specified severity. So MDC allows you protection of your resources and evaluating your infra as per the regulatory compliance policy applied to your environment. Next is the concept of compliance. So three terms are there: data residency, data sovereignty, data privacy. So as residency suggests, it is related to the physical location where the data can be stored. And there are different Azure regions. Depending on your compliance requirement, you will be selecting the Azure regions. Where the data is physically collected, how it will be transferred, processed, accessed internally, it will be decided by data residency guidelines. Data sovereignty, power of the government to control region in which it is physically collected or it is held and processed. So we say laws of lands will determine how the personal data of the client or customer or user or your employee will be handled. Then there is data privacy. Whenever you are collecting the data from your customer, client, employee, you should be providing the notice. This is the purpose for which your data is being collected. So be transparent about collection and how it will be processed, used, whether it will be shared with the third party. So give the disclaimers, notifications, informations about that. So all this comes under the fundamental principles of privacy, laws and regulations under the data privacy concept. So here you can say that the data sovereignty focuses on the legal framework governing the data, whereas data residency is concerned about geographical location of the data itself. Then we explore the concepts of identity. Difference between authentication, authorization, control plane, or security perimeter, and what are the different identity related services. So difference between authentication and authorization. Authentication is what? A process of proving that person is who they say they are. So this is the user who says, I am employee of ABC organization. Now, if this user is employee of ABC organization and wants to access resources, then this user must have some identity in the form of credentials on the domain of ABC organization. So user must be given some email ID, corporate email ID. So say this is user1@abc.com and the user will have his or her own password. So using that, the user will prove that user is the employee of ABC organization. Once it is proved, and now this user one wants to access resources. So this user is employee of ABC organization. This user has proved using authentication. But whether user has permission to access resources and at what level the permission is, whether it's a read, write, delete, modify. So what is the level? That is determined by authorization. So this will be for the tenant level services, that is organization level. There are rules also for the resource level. So you will use role-based access control. Depending on the role of a user, the role will be provided the access. Depending on the role of a user will be provided the access. Now, for this authentication and authorization, what protocols are used? So if you go to this Microsoft Learn page, Microsoft Entra integration with the authentication protocols, we find listing of the protocols and whether it is used for only authentication or it is also used for authorization. So we find that Open Authorization 2.0 is used for authentication, authorization. And the rest of the legacy protocols, Kerberos, they are also supported. Security assertion, markup language, authentication is also supported. So these are the authentication protocols used by the Microsoft Entra, and they are also used for some of them authorization. Whether they support multi-factor authentication, you find the listing. Now, identity is considered as primary security perimeter. Are in a cloud era, and there is a feature availability, and we can access the resources 24/7 from all over globe. So now we do not have constant network. We do not have fixed time of access. We do not have fixed device from where we access. So now the only thing which remains constant here is identity of the user, or it can be of your B2C customers, cloud apps. So identity is now considered as primary security perimeter. So identity can be associated with the human user, or it can be for non-human application devices, others. So identity is used for what? It is used for authentication, authorization, and administration of all this will be done by the Microsoft Entra ID, along with auditing. Who is doing what? And so this is auditing. Which user is accessing which resources at what time, with what actions are performed, which actions are performed by user on that resource. 4 tasks, they are performed by identity provider. There must be some service which is creating identities for authentication, allowing the roles for authorization, keeping track of what this identity is doing, what, where, when. All this administrative task is done by identity provider, which is Microsoft Entra ID for cloud identities. And you have Active Directory for the on-prem identities. So what are the different types of identities? Different types of identities are, they can be human, they can be workload related to devices. So generally we say the identities are related to the groups, users, devices. Some identities will be managed identities. So they will be of resources. External or guest identities, hybrid identities, which are coming from on-premise, and they can access cloud environment as well. And there will be service principals. So for app identities, you will require them. So these are the different types of identities you can have in your environment. Whenever the user is using the devices, it can be the own device or it can be the corporate device. If it's a corporate device, that will be registered or that will be onboarded under joint device. If it's personal device, under being your own device, BYOD, it will be Entra ID registered device. So that will give you identity for your device. There can be hybrid joint devices also coming from on-premise, which already have the entry with the Active Directory and then as well with the Entra ID. So the role of identity provider, which is Microsoft Entra ID, you can access this using entra.microsoft.com, is what perform 4 A's. So it is used for authentication, authorization, it is used for auditing, and it is used for administration. So we find Microsoft Entra ID is the example of cloud-based identity provider. Concept of directory services. So you have on-prem Active Directory, which is having hierarchy. So there are organizational units, there are forests. When you say Microsoft Entra ID, it is rather flat or plain structure, non-hierarchical. Somewhat hierarchy you can bring with the help of administrative units. Federation is the trust between two domains. This can be one-way trust or it can be two-way trust. So here there is this example given. Consider that the user wants to book ticket. So user already has some, this is suppose user 1, So user already have user1@gmail or .com or user1@outlook.com. Now this is a site, suppose, allowing you to book ticket.com. Now bookticket.com trusts Gmail or Outlook domain. Identity provider A trusts identity provider B. So this is your, suppose, Outlook. There can be Gmail, there can be Hotmail, there can be Reddit Mail, there can be Yahoo Mail. And identity A is what? Identity A is your bookticket.com. So bookticket.com trust these domains. So user will use their identities from the social media platform or any other mail service provider platform and will book the ticket. Then user will sign up to bookticket.com and user will get email ID user1 at bookticket.com. But it is not necessary that identity B does not trust identity A. So this user will not be able to use this email ID for logging into their Gmail or Yahoo or Reddit. So trust is one way here. Federation is the trust between domains. One way or it can be two ways. So related to your tenant or organization, you can have the federation between on-prem, different domains and cloud environment along with the other domains as well. Thus, we explored the various concepts related to SC-900 certificate. We started with the shared responsibility model, which clearly gives you the idea about which responsibilities will be with the customer and which responsibilities will be carried out by cloud service provider when you go for infra as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So this is layered security approach. So more the number of layers, so you are delaying the attack, exfiltration attack to your data, and you are buying more time for yourself to protect your data. Then there is the zero trust model, which is based on 3 principles, which are implemented using 6 pillars, so that you will be able to implement zero trust framework in your environment. So those pillars are identity, network, data, infra, applications, and your devices. To secure this using the various security concepts, configuration, settings, rules, policies, and you can get the implementation of 3 principles. Assume bridge. So verify explicitly. Even if it is verified, provide least privilege access. Then we explored the concept of encryption, hashing. Encryption is two-way, whereas hashing is one-way. Hashing is used for hashing of passwords in general. Encryption is used for encrypting data at rest, in motion, as well in use. Then we explored the concept of governance, risk, compliance. You need to govern your identities. You need to govern your data. It will always be the responsibility of the customer to govern and secure identities, accounts, data, devices. So there are different portals for this. Using portal.azure.com, you can get the Microsoft Defender for Cloud for your infra, security plus compliance. Data governance from the infra will be done by Purview portal. As well, M365 environment compliance will be looked after using Purview portal. Then the risks will be taken care from M365 environment using the Microsoft Defender XDR portal. From the infra, you have Microsoft Defender for Cloud with the different Defender plans under cloud workload protection. Authentication is used to verify when user says, I am the employee of organization ABC. User should have the credential, user should be registered, or identity should be created for user in the tenant of the organization. So credentials are used for authentication. Authorization is related to access or what permissions user has on different corporate resources. So different authentication protocols, Entra ID, and few legacy protocols also, Kerberos. Identity now acts as a new security perimeter in the cloud era. This identity will be administered. So administration, authentication, authorization, and auditing will be looked after by identity provider, which is Microsoft Entra ID for your cloud identities. So identity provider is performing four main tasks, and those are four A's: administration, authentication, authorization, auditing. Concept of directory services, Active Directory. Active Directory is for on-premise identity and access management tool, whereas for cloud, you have Microsoft Entra ID. This has hierarchical structure, whereas this is flat structured. Federation is the trust between two domains. So that can be configured one way or it can be configured both two ways. Then we created a single user using all three portals, portal.azure.com, using intra.microsoft.com, and using admin.microsoft.com. User administrator role is required. We created bulk users also using .csv template file. We have kept only here while creating bulk user, we have kept only the required fields, and this feature is also available with all three portals. We have explored different portals as in Azure portal and Entra portal and M365 portal. We have checked on the licenses information and what are the pricing plans of Entra ID. So you find free as well as premium P1, premium P2 plans are there, and you get different add-ons. So depending on your plans, you will get the various features available for the Microsoft Entra ID. So these are the different topics related to SC900 module 1. Thank you for your time.